My name is Duke Ong with Tri-City Equity Group. Today I'm going to talk about the top 10 reasons for investing in apartments versus houses. Number 10 is definitely my favorite, so you're going to want to stick around for that. Before we do that, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications if you haven't already. While you're at it, follow me on my social media platforms. If you want to learn more about investing passively, I'll leave the link to my free ebook in the description below. Let's get started. The reason I wanted to make this video is to share my experience in investing in both single-family homes, small multifamily, and large multifamily. I started my real estate journey with a single-family home in Anaheim, California, which appreciated over time. I was able to access the equity from that to then invest in my primary residence condo here in Honolulu, Hawaii. Around the same time, I bought a 3-unit in Indianapolis with a partner. That led to another partnership where we bought a single-family home, another single-family home, a 10-unit, and a 4-unit in Pittsburgh. Since then, we sold the Indianapolis 3-unit and the first single-family home in Pittsburgh. Next, I partnered with another group to invest in a 52-unit in Saginaw, Michigan. Around the same time, I invested in 3 apartment syndications as a limited partner, a 114-unit in Atlanta, Georgia, a 192-unit in Longview, Texas, and a 310-unit in El Paso, Texas. This gave me the experience to sponsor 4 apartment syndications as a general partner, 3 in El Paso, Texas, and 1 in Salem, Virginia. Since then, one of my limited partners deal exited, producing over a 2x equity multiple in 2.5 years. Having gone through the various types of real estate investments, I strongly believe that investing in apartments is superior to single-family houses for the following 10 reasons. Resilience in tough times. Multifamily has been resilient throughout the COVID-19 pandemic of 2020. Generally, multifamily is better protected against economic cycles, particularly because the need for shelter is an essential need. Multifamily has been shown to be an evergreen business model. In tough times, people tend to move to apartments from single-family houses. This is even more evident as people downsize when income drops. Looking back at the 20 worst quarters over the recent past for a portfolio consisting of 60% stocks and 40% bonds, real estate was up for 17 of those quarters. Multifamily real estate generally has better cash flow potential than single-family real estate investments. For example, in a multi-unit apartment complex, there are multiple streams of rental income coming in compared to just a single monthly rent payment with a single-family home. Having numerous units also keeps cash flow more consistent. If a single-family home becomes vacant, investors lose 100% of that rental income until the home is rented again, whereas an apartment building will rarely be completely vacant. Besides for the rent, apartments tend to have other sources of income, such as laundry, vending machines, covered parking, RUBS, which is racial utility bill back, and more. Tax benefits. There are several tax benefits to multifamily real estate investing. Consult your tax professional to see if you might benefit from any of these multifamily real estate tax advantages. Real estate depreciation deduction. Multifamily real estate investors can claim a depreciation deduction on their investment. The IRS sets the useful life of a multifamily property at 27.5 years. To calculate the deduction, divide the value of the property by the number of years. This is the amount that you can deduct from your taxes each year. Cost segregation. Cost segregation allows investors to take advantage of the different lengths of useful life, either 5, 7, or 15 years, for various property-related costs, breaking them down into categories, such as electrical systems, plumbing, sidewalk construction, light fixtures, and more. Getting a cost segregation analysis is not cheap, but it could potentially pay for itself, and then some, through higher tax deductions. This allows for accelerated depreciation at a faster rate than the standard 27.5 years. Bonus depreciation. The 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act increased the allowable first-year bonus depreciation from 50 to 100%. This means that in the first year of owning a multifamily property, investors can deduct up to 100% of qualified expenses. these qualified expenses are limited to assets with a useful life of less than 20 years, so they do not include the value of the multifamily property itself. However, it can be applied to certain expenses when using cost segregation. Note that the current 100% bonus depreciation rate is scheduled to start phasing down in 2023 to 80% and then dropping 20% each year until it is phased out completely in 2027. Depreciation recapture. It is important to note that when you sell your multifamily investment, the sale will be subject to depreciation recapture. While a portion of the gains will be taxed at the long-term capital gains rate, depreciation deductions will be taxed at your higher personal tax rate. A 1031 exchange allows investors to roll their capital gains from the sale of one property into the purchase of another one tax-free. Long-term capital gains tax. In most cases, gains from multifamily real estate investments are taxed at the long-term capital gains tax rate, which is lower than a standard individual tax rate. Less risk. Investing in apartments is considered to carry less risk than other types of real estate. One reason for this is the fairly consistent rental demand. While the demand for single-family homes, offices, and retail properties tends to fall during economic downturns, leading to higher vacancy rates, the demand for residential rental properties typically stays strong or even increases as more rental households increase. When someone moves out of an apartment, that only creates a vacancy in one of the units in the property, whereas when someone moves out of a single-family house, the vacancy rate then becomes 100%. This means a smaller risk of periods with no cash flow. Also, multifamily real estate includes a variety of property types, including large apartment buildings, duplexes, and communities geared towards retirees. This diversity can further lower the risk of investing in multifamily real estate. Easier to manage. While managing apartments can be complex, bundling numerous units together in one place actually makes it easier than managing a portfolio of single-family homes. For one thing, even if an apartment building has 50 units, there is only one bank loan. Compare this to separate loans for each single-family property. A single insurance policy will also cover the individual units, and if you need to replace an old roof, doing so would effectively replace the roof for 50 different streams of rental income all at once. Multifamily properties also make hiring a property manager a cost-effective way to make managing the property easier. Some single-family homes often don't bring in enough income to make hiring a property manager worth it, leaving you stuck managing the properties yourself. The larger the property, the more you can afford full-time staff, which makes it easier to manage from an asset management perspective. Undersupply of housing. The combination of a housing shortage and more conservative lending environment will make it more difficult for prospective buyers to purchase a home. This means more rental demand amidst limited options in the market. The demographic trends show that the US is shifting towards a renter nation. The increase in supply of late hasn't addressed the sectors with the most pressing needs in the mid to lower income levels. The majority of properties under construction require prospective renters with a higher annual income. Given that most renters earn less than $75,000, the current supply does not address the needs of the largest sector of renters. The increased demand of baby boomers downsizing to apartments and younger generations staying in apartments longer than previous generations has led to the large gap between affordable housing supply and demand. Most of the new construction in this space has been Class A or newer stock, which is mostly unaffordable for many. Also, a declining trend in home ownership and increasingly difficult lending standards means that workforce housing will be in high demand for the foreseeable future. Annual household formation this decade has averaged 1.04 million, while housing production has averaged 880,000 units. The resulting annual housing undersupply of 160,000 units has been a major contributor to rising housing costs. Over the past 7 years, single-family sales prices increased by about 7% each year, much higher than the average wage growth of 2.5%. Multifamily's 3.1% annual rent growth also outpaced the average wage increase. Flight to safety. Global investors are seeking safety in assets like multifamily as they consider the risk of their paper assets. Foreign investors are continually flocking to US multifamily, as it provides better yield and stability. One key part of the yield component is current income in the form of cash flow from day one, defined to be income left over after deducting operating expenses and debt service from the collective rent. Yield comes from the net income after expenses. The yields available in other asset classes, such as dividend-paying stocks and bonds, tend to be a lot lower than that of multifamily real estate. Compared with single-family houses, there is a lot higher demand from larger, more institutional investors looking to park capital. Control. Apartments tend to allow owners to exercise more control than single-family houses. Prepared owners can wait out a down market because of solid cash flow, reserves, and favorable loan terms. When demand dips, the asset can be held longer. When demand jumps, the asset can be sold for a profit. In our deals, we believe in the buy and watch model. This is where we continually assess the market for refinance or sale opportunities. We seek financing terms that allow for maximizing profit for us and our investors. Scalability as a limited partner. Being a passive investor allows one to scale as quickly as funds are available to invest. Typical barriers like personal debt-to-income ratios in qualifying for an investment loan are not present. Moreover, the limited partner is not constrained by the time required to operate deals and can participate in as many deals as desired. With single-family houses, you can only get loans for 10 houses with your personal name. This makes it a lot harder to scale, along with the management headaches of having your property scattered throughout as opposed to concentrated at one address. Apartments are a lot more scalable because the loans are commercial and are qualified for based on track record and the performance of the property. Principal paydown and leverage. Real estate is one of the safest tools to create wealth because the rent that residents pay goes towards paying down the principal of the mortgage. This means the equity position in the project increases independent of market conditions. This only applies to leveraged assets, but it's one of the best benefits of a conservative loan-to-value investment. In multifamily, this concept is amplified even more because the scale is much larger than in single-family homes. Generally, real estate allows for much better leverage than other asset classes like stocks and bonds. However, there are some differences in the type of leverage you can get for multifamily versus single-family homes. Multifamily allows the passive investor the opportunity of leveraging the sponsor's skill, experience, and network to participate in quality investments that normally would not be available to an individual investor. The project can use leverage from banks or agency lenders to further amplify returns. This has an added benefit of asset protection, since the lender assumes the majority of the risk in most cases. For single-family houses, you would be on your own to qualify for financing and building your own team to handle all the details of management and repairs. Forced appreciation. While single-family homes often have the potential to appreciate in value more than multifamily properties, multifamily real estate tends to be more resilient to down markets, offering a slow but steady increase in value over the long term, all while bringing in impressive monthly cash flow. One of the downsides of smaller properties, which are 4 units and under, and single-family homes, is that the value is based on comparable properties, which is at the mercy of market conditions at the time of sale or refinance. Before we get into the reason why apartments are better, let's define some terms. Net operating income, or NOI, is the income minus expenses without debt. Cap rate is the market return without debt, and value is the NOI divided by cap rate. Because the value is based on the net operating income divided by the cap rate, investors can benefit from the increased value due to either increasing income or decreasing expenses. Therefore, the savvy investor has some control over the value at exit through increasing the NOI through more efficient operations. Alright, that's going to do it for the top 10 reasons for investing in apartments versus houses. If you got value out of this video, please hit that like button, and don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss my future videos. I plan on releasing new videos every week. If you have any questions about passive investing in apartments, drop a comment below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.